Okay, so AI is everywhere all the time,
It's everywhere.
and it's also the source of one of my favorite memes going on right now. You may not be aware, but well, remember a couple weeks or a couple episodes in a row, I talked about how LLMs don't really have true logic. And we'll talk about this more in an actual article, but um, it's just the mathematical connection between different words, letters, ideas, phrases, but it doesn't know what it is. And the example I used on the podcast before was the word bank, BANK, could be a bank that holds money, could be a river bank. The AI doesn't know because of the context. It knows because of the mathematical relationship of all the words you're using in the sentence, whether you mean a bank that holds money or a bank alongside the river. Well, I don't know. Part of me thinks this is people being intentionally like they know the weakness to exploit it, but I don't care. It's a great illustration.
Mhm.
So a user asked um, how to solve the problem of cheese sliding off of the pizza.
Okay.
This is a real problem. I
It
mean,
is a real problem.
it happens to us all. My youngest
Pandemic.
two
Yeah.
hate pizza of any kind. If when they bite into it, all the cheese comes off the pizza.
Right.
So if you do a search using Gemini or OpenAI, both LLMs, both using basically the same idea, and say, "Hey, how do I get the cheese on my pizza to stick?" Now, we know what problem we're trying to solve when we ask that question. As humans, I mean, I asked a couple people on calls today. I was like, "How would you think about this?" They're like, "Well, just let the pizza cool. Like it's too hot, or you have too much sauce, or all these other things." AI comes in for the win, and because of the mathematical relationship of the word stick to adhesives of all kinds, when you ask this question, it just recommends you add an organic glue compound to the cheese
That's a good idea.
so that it will stick to the pizza. I love AI. And again,
I love it.
one of my favorite takeaways from the Builder 100 conference was the lady who said, as an AI expert from NYU, the whole term of artificial intelligence was clearly made up by marketers, which I love because I think all things of, you know, big influence in the world probably started in the minds of a marketer, of course. But this
Obviously.
isn't even intelligence yet. We're nowhere near intelligence. We're finding patterns. We're creating new ideas. I just think it's hilarious that the recommendation of glue has gone viral as a
It's
meme
glue.
now.
And I did it.
Organic glue.
I think my prompt might have been different, and it just gave like advice on. It didn't give an answer. It gave like use quality ingredients. Like that's not an answer. It make sure it gets hot enough. Well, that's not an answer. It still didn't. It just extracted information related to cheese and pizza. I didn't use the word stick, and so it still was not there. No
Yeah.
answer.
And this, the other example that I just pulled up was good old Google AI telling you to do the exact things you're not supposed to do if you're bitten by a rattlesnake. So the suggestions are, we'll have to check, all the Eagle Scouts listening. I know Will Duderstadt is an Eagle Scout, but
Yes, he is.
if you're bitten by a rattlesnake, you can try these steps: apply ice or heat to the wound, apply a tourniquet, cut the wound, or attempt to suck out the venom. Give the victim anything to eat or drink, especially not alcohol or aspirin. But apparently, those are all the
Read the
wrong
instructions
things.
wrong. You like freeze your leg with a tourniquet, and then you eat your leg or something. You're like, I did all of these. I died. This is not
Yeah,
good.
but
Call poison
it's
control.
it's understandable because all of the news outlets have to have something to talk about, something to promote, something to get people to read and click, and all of the big tech companies have to talk about AI. So we got not one, not two, but three different events, two from Google and one from OpenAI in the past couple of weeks. And so once again, the rounds are: has this changed everything? Will this change everything? And from now on, if people email me that question, I'm just going to send them the question about pizza and cheese.
Cheese.
Yeah, that's good.
Cheese glue.
This will definitely support my story time. Like
Okay,
this
good.
example.
Well, let's get to it.
Ditto.
Oh, let's get to it. Oh
Well,
man,
no, no, no. We
we have
got
to
to
do our
do the
intro.
intro
Oh, I
before
just
we
wanted to
get
get
to it.
going. I'm
Yeah,
I'm a little
yeah.
cranky.
Welcome to episode 338. I'm Kevin Oakley, and with me today is the ad doctor, Andrew Peak, and Beth Russell. All right.
Beth
Now,
Russell.
formalities are out of the
I know.
way.
The formalities are
Side
there. I
note,
know.
we said that we need to change my name to Beth. I have strong opinions, Russell.
Oh, I don't know
Beth.
if that's a
I'm just
nickname
kidding.
you want to encourage.
Beth. I have strong and correct opinions.
Yeah, there you go. Because
Hey,
AI has strong opinions.
that
AI have that
I speak with facts.
moniker.
Oh
All right,
man,
Andrew,
I
go ahead.
like it. Okay, so AI, we just kind of uncovered that AI is not perfect. If we want the correct answer, we use humans. Okay. So Google Ads in
Well,
particular,
humans that know the answer.
humans
Yeah, right.
like Beth, strong and
Yeah,
correct
me.
opinions. Yes, people
Not
like
your
Beth.
average,
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. So
Walmart
some caveats in
person in
there.
the aisle.
But maybe the Walmart person now we might have just as much luck compared to AI.
Yeah.
So Google Ads is super boring. And I think
Mhm.
when things are like stagnant, like what can we do to improve this? What can we do to improve this? And then here's AI, and then here's Google saying, hey, we have this thing called PMAX and discovery campaigns and conversion bidding, all these things like that will find the right people for you. You don't have to worry about a thing. Give us $100 per day, $150 per day, whatever we need, like give that to us. We will hand you exactly what you're looking for because AI is all knowing, omnipresent. It's the beginning, it's the end. It's not, right? But we see it all the time. PMAX it does generate leads, tons of spam leads. If you start them, your online sales team will be like, what in the world? What are these leads? These are not working. Why are my numbers getting worse and worse and worse? When we have opinions, strong and correct opinions like Beth, we know what works. And really with Google and search in particular, it's so simple. Someone types in something, new homes, Tampa, new homes, Columbus, new homes, Augusta, Georgia. We want to show the ad that we are selling the homes that they're looking for. Like anything in between that. And I know like you're like, there has to be more. There has to be more. And I think I need to read, what's the book that we should all read probably once a year on how we think. We want to overcomplicate things because that seems like the more correct answer.
Yeah.
When Google, it's just a directory. Google search is literally just a directory. It pulls up, we want new homes. Here's new homes. Oh, now we have a location of where the home's located. Here's homes located in the area. And here's an ad for homes located in the area. It's really like a super, super simple product, which is why it works well. But then you throw the AI mix into there, and Google has more control of how the ad pops up, how they're able to charge you, and they're putting it elsewhere. So Google search, keep it simple. It is super simple. I don't know how to get this message across because it feels like I'm really not saying anything other than like it works when
Well,
you just let it be
Let's
what
talk-
it's supposed
I think
to
the
be.
interesting part of that, Andrew, is why people get confused, and
Yeah.
and that's where I was telling Andrew a couple days ago, Beth, like just make like a 10 commandments of the things that
I'm working on it.
are
Jesus
easy to
is
misunderstand. Like when you see
speaking
limited
through
by
me.
budget, the default reaction is, oh my gosh, that's terrible. But that's your opportunity for optimization, not your opportunity to just raise the budget per Google's request. And I think, similarly, this idea of, I was talking to a potential partner earlier this week, and this guy's not from the industry, wants to do new and better things, and I'm all for it. And he said, but this is a 6-state builder hitting their sales goals currently. And so I said, hey, I love, let's try all the things. But first, your average cost per click right now is like $1.70. And our average, I think, is roughly like $1.10, Andrew, ish, in that area.
Yeah, that's add
I said,
a few
let's
comments
just-
to that.
Let's just first, I don't know the percentage in my head. One of you two might be able to do that. I can't do that.
I'd say it's 44. I don't know.
It's
Sounds
No.
funny.
It's a meaningful improvement in efficiency. So let's just do that first. And then while everything is being as efficient as possible, then use the extra resources to go try different things. And we love that. I think it's interesting. Most of the time, everyone is saying, what's the new thing? What's the new thing? When we work with a builder for a couple years, I tend to start having them repeating things back to me, which I love. Like, Kevin, the more we do this and the more we talk about this, I just find I have to keep going back to the things that really matter. Even though, to your point, it's not exciting.
Basics.
It's not interesting. It's not
Right. Especially when there's pressure. It's
creative.
almost like the perfect storm of like Sales seem stagnant. Traffic's kind of sitting there. What can we do? What can we do? So there's all this pressure on the marketer to come up with something. I need a solution. And really, it's probably not the marketer's solution to provide. They're just the easiest one to typically have some solutions. So it's almost like all this is psychological problems. Leadership's putting pressure here. Sales is over here. Marketers like, oh gosh, I will lose my job and or look bad, or this will start this is a catalyst for my exit, or being pushed away because it looks like I'm ineffective. I better do something. PMAX campaigns, AI. Ooh, people really like this. I better try that out. And then you try it out for 6, 8, 12 months, and then you're like, well, shoot, that didn't work. That's bad. And it's just basics. With Google search. This is Google search conversation. Like Google search is just Google search. Directory. Question, answer. We put our ad up as the answer.
Yeah. And one of the articles that I teed up, it's an old one from 2023 from thedrum.com. But the title is "Fraudsters Are Already Tricking Google's Performance Max. What if it got worse?" This is from August of 2023. And this is not a difficult concept, I don't think, to understand at all. I'll cover a couple specific examples of this, but you're telling an AI system to optimize for something.
Yep.
And so when the fraudsters understand how it works and can convince it that it is working, guess what it does? It just does the fraud faster and spends the money quicker. And the reason that this typically is not picked up, and even several of the builders we work with who run Performance Max campaigns against our recommendation, but they choose to do it anyway, it almost always comes down to the discussion of, well, our marketing team is not really held accountable for the quality of leads. And so if they're spam, if they're not real, I think I've said this over and over again, you're all sick and tired of it, but it's a conversation I've had multiple times where you say, hey, we wouldn't recommend you keep doing those PMAX campaigns because a lot of the leads that come through are not real people, or if you call them, they do not recall ever signing up, similar to how Facebook lead ads were back in the day. And they go, oh yeah, we have kind of heard some of that. We've heard some complaining like you're talking about. But hey, we turned those off. So now we're only using Performance Max campaigns to optimize phone calls.
Yeah.
And then I have to lean in and go, has anyone checked the quality of those phone calls?
Check on that quality.
Oh, no. Well, do they connect? Like, how long are they on the line for? If you have some basic call tracking, you can do a real quick test there without even having to talk to your human team, assuming you still have a human team left and they haven't all been turned into glue. So the other things that Performance Max can
That's
do.
the pizza joke for everyone.
Yeah, I like to bring
why
it
did Kevin say glue?
whenever I can.
That was Jerry Seinfeld. Pizza glue was at the beginning. Now we got
Exactly.
That was hilarious. That was 10 out of 10 humor.
But this article from the Drum is from a company saying, hey, we've tried Performance Max campaigns and it keeps going back to people who have already purchased from the site, even when we tell it not to. It keeps trying to focus on brand terms. Why? Because that's what's most likely to give the result that the AI wants to do. So it's not this idea of let's give a non-intelligent thing. It's kind of, have you ever, well, you talk to someone outside the industry or someone who just starts, like Beth, when you were in home building and you had a new employee. New employees tend to say the same thing over and over again. One, it's, oh, I love homes. I love HGTV. I love paint colors. And
I've always wanted to be a realtor.
Yeah. I've always loved real estate. I find it super interesting. And then there's always why don't we do this? And it's like the same thing. Now, I always say for any new employee, like keep a list of all those new things because you're only new once and you only have fresh perspective once. But the most obvious thing is the most obvious thing, even to the people who have been in the industry for a long time. The real like, oh, that's awesome is when a non-obvious thing from a new, fresh set of eyes is uncovered. Not the thing that like your grandma asks you about when you go to the family cookout. Have you thought about using the internet? That's not, yes, we have thought about that. I mean, that was happening in 2012. Like, have you thought about the internet? And like, people are really using this web thing. Yes, Mom. Thank you. Anyway, this is good. These are the foundational relationships that, yes, amateurs will miss, but experts are not missing. Now, Experts Plus AI creates some really interesting ideation of things you might not have thought of, or like, oh, that was completely wrong, but it leads me in a new, interesting way of thinking that maybe I hadn't thought of before. Anyway.
Yeah, agreed. My last one on Google is, if anyone listening talks to a Google rep, do it as an exercise. Tell them, I want less leads because my sales team has too many leads right now. So we only need higher quality leads, but we need less of them. And they'll look at you and they'll be really confused. And I told this to the last conversation I had with the Google reps, and they were just like, well, I guess, yeah, don't do the PMAX then. Okay. Like they didn't know what to do. And this is people signed to like mid-tier accounts, like 500K plus a month and spend. And they were just like dumbfounded. I'm like, yeah, this is why we do it this way. They're like, oh, okay. Well, I guess keep doing it that way. Like they had no idea. They were so confused. I want less leads. I want 30% less leads.
Any marketer thinks that way if you aren't hanging out with salespeople, like or online or offline. Like if you're not hanging out with the folks who have to interact with customers, of course you would just say more must be better.
Yeah, and they think we want more. Google reps do think we want more. It's not e-com. It's different. Okay, all done. Google Talk.
If you want more AI talk, if you just can't get enough, go into All Access. I think I've added like 20 minutes of content around the topic between Google I/O and ChatGPT 4.0. And so go in All Access, members.uconvert.com. You'll be able to see a bunch of other stuff there. But let's move on to your story time, Beth.
Well, ironically, mine is about AI.
Gosh darn it.
So thanks for that tee up, Kevin. But I mean, it's surprising because
it's not a big deal.
That sounds like what's it? The space show.
Sorry, I forgot to tell you all.
Danger,
I've
Will
just
Robinson.
decided to outsource my. It's more convenient if I just let AI moderate the show. So
yeah.
Let's do it. It's just the same.
You know, Kevin, we've had theories for years that you are actually a robot and not a human. So thank you for confirming
Kevin and
it
Mark
all
Zuckerberg,
to us.
both robots. From he disappeared. He went to get plugged back into the charger.
I can't.
All right, sorry, Beth.
What? We went off the rails, y'all. This is not supposed to happen when Kevin's on the call. Dad's supposed to keep us in line.
Every 4 times I'm on the call.
Dad's supposed to keep us in line. Dad and Dad. Love it.
Oh my gosh. Well, I just got off literally right before recording this podcast, just got off a webinar with some industry friends hosted by the team at Hierarch. And I don't normally go on tirades about AI. That's Kevin's job. We leave it to Kevin and his videos in All Access. But it's interesting because one of the things I didn't get to say, which I wish I would have, is just, you know, a reminder to go back to the basics. Like everything that you guys are saying relates to that. You know, don't overcomplicate it for the sake of you think it's going to make you sound smarter. Don't go too granular because you think that if you focus on the really granular, you're doing it better. Like, you know, go out and make sure that if before you're implementing anything having to do with AI, whether it be through whatever, I don't know, tech or whatever, but you have to make sure it's that you have the right things going into it, because it's only as good as the data getting pushed into it. So if you're missing the mark on foundational things, like you want to go out there and you want to try PMAX campaigns, but your website is awful and Google hates the way that your website is structured and you don't have good content and you have no way for people to reach out to you and your calls to action are horrible and you're only using renderings and not real photos, like you got to go back to the basics before you try to do something new, cool, and exciting. Slow down.
100%.
Just take a break.
It's a strong, correct opinion. Very, very
See,
correct.
I told you, I'm
we
always
had this
right.
conversation this
and I'm
week.
right about English muffins.
We'll learn about English muffins later. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But we had that conversation this week, Beth, where we were like, hold on this because like the site just needs more attention. The site is the bottleneck.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That's, I think it's, I'll say mature to make myself feel better about myself. That's a mature outlook on looking at things. Like don't push traffic. Like really it's like take a step back and it's kind of like ego defeat. Like, oh, we kind of have to start over, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the outcome will be better. Like doing
the
basics first before you start pushing traffic.
You don't build a sandwich with just the stuff in the middle. Like you need the bookends.
That's weird. You need the bookends.
It's an unwinch and they're not fun. Like I love lettuce, but I'm not going to make a lettuce sandwich. Like, give me some carbs. And so like, we talk about peanut butter and jelly. You can't just eat peanut butter. I mean, that would be weird. I guess you could, but it's not the same experience. Like, you have to think about the whole thing as a whole, like from start to the manufacturing in the middle, and then the end result. Like, what are you trying to accomplish, and think it all the way through.
Right. You need your bread.
Yep.
You need your bread.
I went to a Zonda Dealmakers event. They have a couple different like regular local events they do, not in Columbus, but all over the country. I think in the past, their CEO has told me they do like over 300 events a year, including the Builder 100. But they do frame events, which I think are just economics. Dealmakers is kind of interviews and econ talk. But the CEO of MI gave a talk at this one, and so I just thought I'd share a couple of his things that I took away as key points. The first was, unfortunately, a reminder of the Great Recession, which I kind of loved it because it was the best time in my career, and our builder kicked everyone else's tush, and we were not, Anyway, that part isn't sad to me, but he did put it in a really good way for people who have supreme confidence in their construction company that they work for. So if you work for a top 10 national builder, and I made a post about this earlier, it's really easy to equate marketing genius to a top 10 or a top 20 or a top 30 builder who has found ways to get really efficient with their cost of goods sold and passes that value on to the consumer. What do I mean by that? Nothing against D.R. Horton or Lennar or Pulte or any of these organizations. You do a great job, especially providing affordable homes for people who need them. However, if your boss says, why did that D.R. Horton community get 20 sales last month and we got 2? It's not necessarily because they're marketing geniuses. So you follow what I'm saying? Like, they're producing a great value product at a price that you can't compete with. And you're saying, why doesn't, I'll keep retreading ideas here. Why doesn't my mediocre website with mediocre imagery, mediocre UI, mediocre calls to action, everything, why isn't that mediocre experience trumping the fact that they're offering the same square footage for $30,000 less than we are?
I was going to say mediocre pricing, which, that's painful to say that. Sorry.
So
bad.
He referenced that of, hey, be careful, because in the Great Recession, and this is what he said, I haven't had time to fact check it, but I think he said 10 of the top 20 builders went out of business during the Great Recession. And let's see, a bunch of things didn't necessarily exist then that exist now, but whatever those were, they're probably like, we love our full page, full color ads, and our billboard campaigns are awesome. And we've got this brand that customers love. And then whoopsie, we're out of business. And his example as to why that happens, especially to the really large builders, when there is a correction. And just for those of you who are like, Kevin, I've been in this industry for 10 years. What correction do you speak of, really? Or that will never happen again. There was a 16-year bull market for housing leading up to the Great Recession. 16 years in a row where he said, we beat our projections every quarter for 16 years. Like, that's like a baseball player going up and hitting a home run every time they're at bat. After 16 years, you'd be like, I must be a pretty freaking awesome baseball player. But here's where the math of big builders breaks down, is that you've got 2 things on a balance sheet. Quick profit center manager training session here. You've got liabilities, which is typically debts, loans, things you must pay back at a set dollar amount. And then your other side, you have assets. Typically for home builders, it's land, and it's the homes under construction. So the bank, everyone looks at those assets and says, oh, that land is worth $20 million, and those homes under construction are worth another $20 million. So you've got $40 million of assets, and you only owe the bank $20 million. Well, then when the market turns, those asset values decline significantly. In the Great Recession, 50, 60% decline rapidly. And his point, which was awesome reminder, is those liabilities, those don't change. So all of your assets just lost value by 60%. You still owe the bank the same amount of money. And even more so, they're even more nervous about the future trajectory of those assets. And they're likely going to come knocking on your door and say, we don't think we want this to keep going. So that was just a really good way that he phrased it. The other really talking about build to rent, they made the comment that he believes, this is Bob Schottenstein, the CEO of MI, that he believes that he's the only one of the top 25 home builders who is not actively involved in selling units to build to rent operations. I don't know how he knows that. Again, maybe he just looked it up using Gemini AI. But he said, I just don't like the business model.
Must be.
And he said, I don't like the business model because of the saying that no one takes a rented car to the car wash. Like, so when you think about the fact that you're going to rent a traditional single family home, it sounds really great that we're going to be able to maintain it and keep it the way it is. These things haven't been long enough for anyone to know what the real maintenance costs are going to be when people live in a single family home. And you don't just have home maintenance, you've got community maintenance and all the rest. And they're assuming all these efficiencies are going to be gained with technology and the fact that the homes are similar to each other. He goes, well, I just don't know. And most importantly, I don't want to wreck the markets that I do business in or my brand reputation as being connected to that. And I just thought for a public company CEO to have that perspective was really interesting. Yeah. The last thing, well, two other things. He said, quality is number one to them. Now, everyone says this. I've seen Bob speak enough times to know that he really means it, and that the language is all over. And you can buy the most expensive house from them, least expensive house, same energy efficiency, same warranties. Like, quality is important. And it hit me when he said that, because he also made the comment that they lost $90 million as a company in 2009. I think he said 2008. Anyway, it was one of the bad years. He said, we were hanging on by our fingernails, and even I thought we might go out of business too. It hit me that the only reason that they were able to hang on by their fingernails is because of that focus on quality. Because there are other competitors in town, predominantly a company called Dominion, which no longer exists, but was of similar size to MI, did not focus on quality in the same way. And when the recession hit, people still needed to move and to buy homes. But you know what? When there's a ton of uncertainty, what people flock towards is this idea of, well, if I'm going to buy something and all these homes are kind of on sale, why would I not pick the one that has a way better reputation for quality and experience and service than the other? Now, quality, I just mixed quality and service. They're different things. And that's the other thing I just want to say is, yes, you can have all the most amazing process for our Canadian friends, systems set up. If the actual sticks and bricks are of low quality and the people putting them together do it incorrectly, then nothing else matters. So that was, and then the final one, kind of along the lines of the 16 years in a row of every quarter being a winner. He said, I just realized that a lot of my managers were only good at offense. And then in the recession, I had to have people who were good at defense too. And they were not always the same person. Most managers are either an offensive oriented minded manager or a defense one. The ambivert manager is a little bit of a unicorn, but I thought that was also just a really interesting idea, because we tend to think of sales managers are only what? Offense, right? But making sure you got the right team on the field, there's a lot of defense in that mindset if you're going to do it really well.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my story time. First up from the news.
First up.
Do you believe in ghosts? From doyouconvert.com, our very own Jesse Suggs wrote,
you know that name.
I love the fun play on emojis here that I've already seen since this has gone out. But yes, people are going to ghost you as an online salesperson. So anything that happens in a predictable way deserves a predictable response. And so Jesse outlines that for us in a simple 4-touch point method. That's hers. And you
this
can
is like the
personalize
cheat
yourself.
code. Like, everyone looks for scripts. Like, they look for what's the silver bullet? Just tell me the answer. This is literally the answer. So if you're on online sales and you're like, oh, well, look at review our process, or you don't have a process, I mean, this is it right here. This is worth a lot of money. I'm selling this article really bad right now, but like that's
but
at least
it's
two
not
sales.
complicated. Look at
It's the
that.
basics.
It's not that
It's like-
complicated.
Yeah.
But it's work though.
Yeah.
So let's go through
there's
real
And I
quick,
think with-
and then we can chat about it. I'll let you go, Beth, after I just touch point number 1. And this is after someone you've been engaging with someone, they don't respond for a period of time. Touch point number 1, the follow-up phone call. Recap your conversation and end with a clear call to action to invoke their response. Touch point number 2, piggyback with a text message a couple days later. Touch point number 3, a video email in another 3 to 4 days. Again, you can get the full playbook here basically by going to the blog post. And touch point number 4, the last dance. This is not a see you later email, but an expectation setting email saying, hey, I'm not going to go crazy on this communication. I am going to, though, never stop. It's just the frequency is going to be reduced to monthly.
Yeah, I love the hidden truth bomb in this article, which is you should always be the one ghosted. You shouldn't be the one ghosting your CRM.
Oh man, that's actually really
Boom,
good.
truth bomb.
This is like so what I'm learning from this episode, like as I'm looking at this, there's so much in our head that gets in our way. So if you're like, man, they're rejecting me, it's like that's the point. Like you will be ghosted. You'll be like, I'm not in online sales because I can't handle that. But like those that are like, it's almost embrace it. Like, sweet. Yeah. Someone else said no. Yes, this is great. Like that's the job. Like that's
what I think is that when someone is really good at follow-up, I have no data to other than my own human experience, is that let's just say that I've been considering buying something that I typically don't buy, like let's just say an amazing camera. If there was a salesperson from a camera store who left me a couple messages or a couple emails about a new camera that's coming out, there is a part of my brain that says, this is awesome. This person is thinking about me. I do not have the time. I don't want to buy a camera right now. Mm-hmm. But there is, I don't know. I think you can ghost a salesperson and still have good feelings towards that salesperson and that company. Yeah. More than that person ever knows. And we've heard examples of this before. I think it was Ingrid, 10 years ago now, where we at our very first summit, where we played a recording of someone who said, Ingrid, I just want to thank you for following up with me for 6 months. And I know I never returned your calls and I never returned your emails, but we're going to buy from your builder because of your follow-up. And I think if there's nothing else that you should use AI for, is just have it automatically send you a new email every day saying the same thing in a different way of just please go do the follow-up.
Do it.
Yeah,
people
absolutely.
Love it.
I like it.
If they didn't love it, they would unsubscribe. They would say, please stop.
That's the point. If they didn't like it, they would ghost you by saying like, no.
Yeah, they wouldn't ghost you. They would say, cut it out.
Yeah, true.
Some people, they want to play hard to get. Like this is like, it's their thing. Like I want to sign up for a bunch of lists. I want people to chase me. Here we go. Then I'll buy a home eventually.
Yep.
That's what they're doing.
All right. Next up from Rise Media, Department of Justice lawyers say no offers of compensation anywhere. Please just stop it. And so this is the latest, and the Department of Justice hasn't yet fully jumped in, but they have basically said this sneaky thing that you're trying to do as part of the settlement, not really sneaky, but the agreed upon settlement so far is no offers of compensation in the MLS, do the offers of compensation off MLS, don't make that as part of a requirement in any way, shape, or form. But then everyone is like, cool, this kind of works out for everyone. Might require a couple extra phone calls on the part of a real estate agent to figure this out, but everything can kind of continue on as normal. And there is a lot of questions of, but this doesn't really solve the core issue. If the federal government has an issue, it's with steering, it's with the idea of any of this stuff being connected, the buyer compensating the seller in any way. And even some of my really good friends this past month were like, I mean, Kevin, I love your takes. I like it when you talk about this stuff, but like you're totally wrong on this buyers not being able to compensate sellers. And I said to them, I should have hit record for all of you to hear it too, but I said to them, just wait, it is not over yet. And that's essentially what this article says, is that the DOJ have said, our preference, we're reserving our right still to come in at any point, is that we do not want the buyers to be paying sellers, agents, in any way, shape, or form. Which, having said that, just, I am still of the opinion of right now is probably not the time to say we're not paying buyers, agents, period, anything ever, in most scenarios. But you think about Meritage and DR Horton and some other people have said, like the Meritage CEO is like, we're going to pay realtors probably ever more than ever before. I mean, I am not trying to, again, make anything happen. It's just in light of the federal government saying they really don't want that to be an influencer in what a buyer's agent does.
Mm-hmm.
Just be careful.
It made me a little nervous. They like to, yeah. I'm a fan of this. So, like, that aside, like, this makes sense. Right? I kind of felt like some of this, like, skirting around, it was like, hey, Moldus one, like, hey, bud, you made a mistake. You're getting your PS5 taken away. You cannot play Fortnite. Goes downstairs, loads up his iPad, plays Fortnite. Well, Dad, you said PS5, not my iPad. And I'm like,
so here's the thing that hit me as I was driving down to the Zonda event today. I was behind a Tesla. I'm just letting you know my full thought pattern. I'm behind a couple Teslas. And I'm like, these things are everywhere now. It's kind of like obnoxious. And then I thought, well, but then eventually they're all going to become robo-taxis, right?
Yes,
so
that's the goal. It'll be making me money right now.
When that happens. Then that took me back to Uber. Then it took me to my last experience of Uber in Florida, near you, Andrew, where, look, I've got 6 people in my family. We have a couple suitcases with us. So what should a person do when they get to the Tampa airport with a bunch of suitcases and they need an Uber? Right or wrong, you should call an Uber black SUV because they typically are Cadillac Escalades-ish in size. They're the only ones that have any prayer of holding my entire family.
Gotta be
and
black.
Everyone else gets anxiety. I'm like, well, you just call 2 Ubers. Like, no, Dad, we'll take your phone. They freak out about taking multiple cars. I got to work on that. But then it hit me that Uber is the best analogy. And I'm going to actually submit this to Inman. We'll see if they publish it. I think Uber is the best analogy as to what the issue is that's wrong. Because everyone's talking about there are great agents, and there are. And there are even good agents.
Sure.
But imagine... So sorry, I got to finish the Florida example. We call it a black SUV, and what pulls up is like, I don't know, some kind of station wagon thing made by Ford.
Like a crossover. Like
I don't
there's
know what
2
it
like
was,
jump seats
but
in the back.
It barely held 6 people and had no room for luggage whatsoever. And the guy's like, yeah, I don't know. Here they just call us. Like, it didn't ask me like it normally does in the app. Do you have luggage? And it just, I called a black SUV. I got a white station wagon. Okay. So I was upset. I was like, what the heck is up with this? And that's kind of what the current state is with agents and their compensation on the buy side. There is no real way. There's a lack of transparency for the consumer to really know, is this person an Uber X, Uber Pool? Are they Uber Black?
Yep.
You can't really get a sense of that as a consumer. And that's really what we need, because so sorry, back to what everyone agrees the problem is not that buyer's agents exist or that they want to be compensated to exist. It's that, and I think it was our folks at 1000 Watt who did this study, is something like only 46% of people said that they thought that their agent put them as a consumer above a paycheck, like getting a deal done just to make money. Mm-hmm. So that means that in theory, only 46% of the agents out there should be agents. Let's just say 50. 50 is an easier number.
Yeah.
But it just hit me of like, yeah, if all Uber, if an Uber just came and sometimes you got a Cadillac Escalade and sometimes you had to ride with 3 people from Iowa, I don't, but it was all the same price. That doesn't make any sense at all.
That makes sense.
And then similarly, and I'm almost done with this diatribe, I swear.
I like it.
But Uber's gone way downhill. Am I alone in this opinion?
I think so. Well, in cities like
safety
mine.
concerns.
So yeah. hmm
Yes, safety, cleanliness of the vehicle, condition of the vehicle. Like if you don't do a comfort level or above,
Yeah.
if it has 4 wheels on it, you're lucky. And like it's just not. But here's why: is because those people are freelancers essentially. They don't care about the Uber brand. They're trying to make a buck. This is the problem we have with agents who don't have their own team or their own brand name, or they're just doing a minimal amounts of transactions. Is they're just flipping on the light, grabbing their jalopy of a vehicle, showing up, getting paid. And it's because, so the good agents, the ones who care about their customers, they care about their customers, but I think they also just care about their company and their personal reputation because they are now a known entity. Whereas if you're just signing up to be under, Remax and you're just turning your light on, trying to make it work and quick side hustle. So this whole thing could be fixed if somehow we just make real estate agents on the buy side in particular more like the Uber app experience, where at least you can most of the time say, this is the kind of experience and knowledge that I want to pay for.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is their way of doing that now is it's false. It's a farce. It's what they do is they like produce lists for their agency, and it's like our top selling agents and our top buyer agents. And yeah, they may have had the most, but again, that speaks
but
absolutely
that
nothing to
gets
their
all
quality.
messed up, and essentially people have been hacking this, Beth, because those top agents are all the leaders of teams who have 50 people,
Exactly.
20 people under them. And so that's how they get that number. But if you don't know, if that's my point, you don't know if you're getting the black SUV or the Uber pool. You don't know which one you're getting.
Yeah. And the 5-star agent that you contacted off Zillow is the premier agent who's paying to be on there. So like, it's just, you can't trust any of it right now.
Right.
You need a better system.
All right. Speaking of things you can't trust, maybe Meta, maybe not. I don't know. I mean, so here's the article from Forbes.com or from other places, depending on where you can get it without having to log in or pay a buck.
Everywhere.
This is one of my 4 free Forbes article links. Meta's AI chief says AI models like ChatGPT will not reach human intelligence. Will not, like ever. And that's the other reason I brought up the pizza, cheese, and stick example. Is it's a tangible example of what he's saying, which is that these things have very limited logic. The only logic they have is connection through math of one idea to another. And while that's helpful for really structured things like math, like programming, it's not yet is what most people would say. He's saying not ever likely to get us to human level intelligence. And the really kind of crappy thing potentially about that is all these chips that have been ordered from NVIDIA that are AI specific by all these companies to create large language models is probably not even the technology that we're going to need in order to get what he says would be human intelligence, which is like basically building a whole world in a box that the AI can understand more directly. It's just so all this hinges, of course, on, well, is that just this guy saying this because Meta is perceived as being the furthest behind OpenAI, behind Google with Gemini? Or is it real? That's really what this whole thing hinges on.
Analogy that David on the podcast, I can't remember where he's from. I'm so sorry. We'll put it in the show notes. On the webinar that we did today, David, what he talked about was how AI right now in its lifeline, or it's lifeline, is basically the web in 1995. Like it still has a lot to go, and it's new and exciting, and people are getting in there and they're doing things, but it's had such a far runway that we can't deny that truth. And I feel like that's kind of the narrative that's out there. Every time a new and exciting thing is released, it's like, oh, well, look how advanced it is. Look how great this is. And then
Right.
time and time again, with your example of searching for a house with a glorified Siri, it's proving over and over again that it's not that great yet. And we should be using it as a tool.
And every time we have this conversation, we have to put it back in the context of why are we so passionate about this? It's because every home builder I've ever worked with, including many in the top 5, still have limited resources. And so that example of the web in 1995 is perfect because, or think about, I think it wasn't the guy who ran for president who has is it Forbes? Maybe it was Forbes. Someone said, they spent like 10 or $12 million on their own specific AI use case just for financial use. And like, this is going to be awesome. And then ChatGPT 4 came out and was basically on par with it.
Oh, I remember
oh, that sucks for you. So this idea of the easiest way to sell something to someone is, well, if you don't get in now, you're screwed. Doesn't that sound like a timeshare? Like, you better get in now or you're never going to have this opportunity again. In the next 4 minutes, and for $19.95, we'll add on double your order. Like, it just sounds terrible. But the fear of being, like when this would be an interesting follow-up for anyone to do is go back and look at what year did you have to have a website or you were truly screwed? What year did you have to be doing X, Y, or Z? Like have to have a mobile responsive site? Was it the first year, 2, 3, 4 that mobile devices came out? When was it? And so again, all these things are great. I just get upset when people who aren't home builders say, I mean, just try it. Just spend a couple $1 million or a couple $100,000 or for a small builder, a couple tens of thousands of dollars. In the meantime, we've got all of this foundational level 1 and 2 stuff that hasn't been rethought or redone in 10 years. That is killing your actual revenue right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the margins on that aren't as good. You have to be able to deliver. You can't say, well, we tried. I mean, tech is a hard place. Didn't quite work out. None of that matters. And I think, again, that's where Schottenstein's talk really reframed a lot of that. Is he was like, look, we're not, and he wasn't talking about just MI. He's like, no, we aren't the most progressive industry in the world, but that's okay. In a lot of ways, it's okay. So I say all that also in the context of this gentleman said, this did make me chuckle. He said it could take up to 10 years to achieve human level AI using the new world modeling approach that he suggests. Now, the reason that made me chuckle is because 10 years basically equals we have no freaking clue.
Yeah.
And the number of predictions.
It just sounds great. Yeah.
In a 5 or 10 year window, it's like the number you have to say to get enough buy from investors or the tech journalists or whatever, but it's not saying 20 and people will be like, oh, half of us will be dead by then, so we're not even interested. It's like, no, just 10 years away. We're 10 years away from self-driving. Okay. We're 10 years away from,
Weren't we 10 years away from flying cars? Like, I'm confused.
Yeah, Uber. Wasn't this when Uber promised that we would start having flight transportation in the Uber app?
Yeah, that didn't.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that.
Where's that at?
Come on now.
All right. So use ChatGPT for your homework, for your kid's 4th grade homework assignment. I'm just, I don't, I don't know how to explain to people that, yes, we are using AI and we have used AI for a long time, but your customers have to be asking for what AI can deliver. And if they're not, why are we over indexing there?
And I think
it has to solve a problem. It has to solve a problem, and it has to make your life easier in some capacity. And beyond that, I think one of the biggest issues that we've seen with builders who are trying to integrate quote unquote AI tech is that it's too siloed. It doesn't interact with other tech we already have in existence. And our industry is not our company is not a siloed company. Like there are too many layers of our company that interact with each other on a daily basis and are incredibly reliant on each other to just get to the sale. Like I can't build this to be built home if I don't get a lot fit from my pre-construction team, and they can't get a lot fit if they don't have the proper documents from the development team. And I need all of this in a short period of time in order to get this sale out the door. And so you can't have things that don't speak to each other, because then it's just a waste of money, time, investment. They have to be able to communicate.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think said another way, I think there could be some people listening like, man, do I see, do you convert? It's like really anti-AI. Like those are dinosaurs over there. I think from our little air traffic control tower, we're seeing all the airplanes, which is builders all over the US, and seeing how everyone interacts. We see the bottlenecks, and like AI is never the solution for it, but AI will come up, AI comes up, and like new things come up. When we look over this way, back to the basics, someone's trying to go to the gym, they don't have shoes on. It's like, put your shoes on first. Or like they're trying to like, hey, I'm trying to get strong, I'm trying to lose weight. It's like you're bench pressing. I think here we go. You're squatting 20 pounds or benching like 35 pounds, but you're like over here, like, oh, I got to do this crazy thing over this way. It's like, no, you just need to do the basics. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's not complicated.
Well,
you're not that
you can
advanced
go way
yet.
beyond basics. And that's I think the other frustrating point. But you're not going to have the resources to go beyond the basics when you're tossing it all at hopes and prayers.
Yeah.
And yeah, enough about that. Okay, on to our favorites, because this will be a never-ending topic. We'll trust us. Just come back next week. You'll hear more discussion of the same. Things we love, things we hate. I will go first this time. Yes, I do love photography. Yes, I do have a problem. This little guy here that I'm holding is a rocket ship shaped air blower. Hear that?
Oh, there we go.
It's blowing air. This thing is patented. It's only this one company called Giottos who makes it. It has a valve on this end which cannot collect dust, and it's way better than compressed air. You can crumple it up and fit it in a bag, travel with you easy. And it's like 16, 17 bucks. Practical.
What do you do with it if you don't know what to do with that?
If you got a piece of speck of dust or hair on a camera lens, you don't touch the camera lens, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
You
Like
just
that one
squeeze
behind
it.
me's getting super dirty. It's my
Spray that stuff. Yeah.
one. I like that. I like that.
That's
Link in
lovely.
the show notes, non-affiliate link in the show notes.
Beth, what do you got? Favorite? Unfavorite?
Since I'm on the podcast with both of you, my disdain is people who open up English muffins with a knife or a fork. That's
So
all.
Beth is one of the few people in the world that can open up an English muffin with her little fingers and hands, and they're like little
No.
knives, and
Yeah.
it opens up perfectly. She sent the
It's
video
the
to everybody.
classic TikTok scam, Andrew. She videotaped herself and she's like, see, look, but all
I
she
did a
does
new
is
one.
show the English muffin in the middle of I want to see an unopened package.
Yeah.
Unedited.
texting
I want to
you.
see from beginning to end. The unwrapping, I want you to zoom in on how thick and long your fingernails are. And then I want multiple camera angles showing that there's no David Copperfield trickery going on here. That's the first thing. The second thing is, who still eats English muffins? Weren't those things invented in like the 1600s?
English.
They're so good. The nooks and crannies.
Oh,
The nooks
that's
and
why
crannies.
you're a waffle person
The
too.
blueberry ones
No,
are
I'm
the
not.
best.
I'm not a
I
waffle
think.
person. Okay.
French
And
toast.
second of all, I have another recorded video that I recorded for you like the day after you yelled at me. And I was like, I never sent it to you because I was like, okay, I'm taking this too far. But since you brought it up, I'm gonna send you the other
I want
recording.
the whole. it was really suspicious.
Okay,
It was
I'll do the
already in
whole
the middle of your
experience.
hands, and you're just like, look, it just peels apart. I'm like, well, how do I know you didn't like crease it with your nail on the backside first?
Magician.
I don't
over
know.
Here.
I don't
Didn't
trust you.
do anything. The other thing is I learned from a friend of mine who used to work at a New York deli that she was instructed to never use a fork or spoon because it sacrifices the integrity of the nooks. So you're welcome.
Yeah,
That's a
I can see
that's
that.
a savagery. Is that a
If
word?
I was paying other people to open up my English muffins for me, that's what I would demand as well. But if I'm gonna do it for my 5-year-old, I'm just gonna stick it with a fork and then open it quickly. Like we got stuff to do.
So I might be the only logical one. If you might put butter or jam, jelly, whatever on an English muffin. You're going to use a knife, too, right? Most people use a knife. So just have the knife out to open it up perfectly. Set the knife on the plate.
Now,
throw it in the
if you
toaster.
stab the knife all the way through that thing like
Yeah,
a
that's
crazy
weird.
person, I mean, again,
You
like
deserve
I
to go
agree with
he
that.
needs
What is the
counseling.
point? You're not trying to slice it like a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
That's why the fork is the best. You're just
I'll make a video
putting
cutting
a little
this
bit
English
more
muffin.
perforation in it before you pull it apart with your fingers.
Oh,
I mean, that
yes.
makes perfect sense.
I'm so
Are
glad
you
I
low
brought
on
this
forks?
back
And do we need
today.
to send you a care
We'll send
package
her
of
some.
forks to your house?
Some
No,
that
I'm
she
very
could
particular about the
price.
forks, but thank you. No,
Are
I
you
just
saying you have
I use
strong
the
fork
knife
opinions?
after next episode.
Andrew,
Look
what do you
wild.
got?
Wild. Well, I got two things. One, I saw this video
Ew.
on Instagram. This is not a like, but it's a future like that I'm going to love. It's a request. I want a builder to do this for me. I will do it. I want 2 dishwashers in my next home.
That's just lazy.
Hear me out. Hear me out.
No.
You load the dishwasher. You then use the dishes. That dishwasher is still clean. You still have stuff in there. And then you rinse everything after dinner, breakfast, lunch, whatever. Then it goes into the dirty dishwasher. And then you just move everything from one to the other. Then it goes back and forth. You never have to put anything away. This sounds like a great life. Which leads me to a next point. My favorite
is
one.
boy
Isn't
math.
this- don't all Jewish households have 2 dishwashers? Like
I don't know.
practicing
Kosher,
Jews?
maybe.
Yeah, because they have kosher and non-kosher stuff. I thought
There we
we've
go.
I don't
built
know.
many
I'm not
custom
Jewish, but
homes
that sounds amazing.
for I don't even
Extremely
know the
intelligent.
right term. Sorry,
I'm-
but
I'm
people
like
who are
Orthodox.
who need that have 2 sinks
Orthodox,
to yeah. I don't think it's
I think
crazy.
it's brilliant. Same with we're doing culture like kitchens in a garage. I think that's beautiful too. To pick because you have some food you don't want to cook.
Kitchens in the garage?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's
Wow.
we have 3 or 4
I mean,
Indian
that-
households
if
in
you're
our
hanging
neighborhood,
out.
and it
Okay,
smells
the 2
absolutely
dishes was-
amazing. They have their kitchen. They have an additional kitchen in the garage, like full cabinets, everything. And you walk by, you're like, wow, it smells like amazing. So I need that.
Is this but like you don't park your car in there ever?
No,
right?
no. Kitchen
So it's
and
just
garage.
it's a
Butler's
I don't know,
pantry.
like a 3-season room with a kitchen in it or something.
It looks like a
like
full
an
kitchen in the garage.
unconditioned-
There's no island, but it's in the garage. There's no island in the
Once
garage.
again, I need video evidence.
This is
If
unhinged.
anyone listening here has a kitchen in your garage, please help.
There we go.
This might be
Andrew,
something
send
that
it.
builders
It's
have
for the
missed
food,
out on.
like the food smells. Like
Or if you're a
stronger
builder,
food smells.
I mean, if your builder offers a rough in for a kitchen in the garage, let us know.
Let us know. And same with the 2 dishwasher thing. All these things I'm a fan of, which leads me to this is like efficiency. It's not laziness, it's efficiency. Sam's Club is 2 minutes from the house. I don't cook chicken anymore. The rotisserie chickens are gigantic. They're $5, $4.99.
Okay.
Like it's a loss leader. I don't know if they lose money on it, but that's the point to get you in the store. The hack is you just go and you only buy that. It's $5 a chicken. You do the math, like the time. I'm like, I'm making money by buying this chicken. I don't have to cook chicken anymore. It's perfectly cooked. It's great. I don't have to touch raw chicken. That's my new favorite. We're talking about lots of food today, so we start with the English muffins. You got me.
Have you seen the guy at Costco, like the Costco guy checking out?
No, see, I'm not fancy enough for the Costco kitchen. The Costco
Okay.
chicken.
I don't
too
know if
far
it's
away.
actually Costco, but there's like a video of this old gentleman who did exactly what you just said,
Costco
where he
chicken.
only got rotisserie chickens and he put the barcode on a t-shirt and was just like, scan this 5 times. That's how we checked out faster.
I have seen that one.
Efficiency.
I do the scan and go, which is interesting. This is the last story. I was there last night. They have at Sam's Club scan and go. Use the app. You scan something. You pay. You swipe. You just leave. You don't. I mean, they still check it at the door, but you don't have to go through the cash register. They're now discounting items by substantial amounts to use. Here's a scan and go price. I'm like, oh, that is really interesting. So I want to know the math on that. Like some genius at Sam's Club corporate did the math. Like if we can get X% to start to use scan and go only, we could probably reduce
That's
overhead
so wild.
here and have more floor space to then have more product on.
Mhm.
If the whole front isn't this and the experience is better because then we can have probably more food. If we want to sell more food, the $1.50 pizza, all that, like paper
Can
towels
we,
were like
okay,
$5 less.
this is
It was really
Wait,
interesting.
no,
I want the
that
math on it.
that is a PR move because Walmart got in trouble because their chicken that was labeled as X weight when the person was checking out at the self-checkout weighed the chicken and it was way less. And so they were paying like $4 more. And Walmart owns Sam's Club.
Interesting. I just think,
conspiracy.
can we just just fire all the people who scan the products and just give us more baggers? We can all scan our own products and put it on the thing.
You know, yeah,
Just put more people on the bag problem. That's the only thing I need help with.
that's where
For
people
goodness
complain
sakes,
about.
how about like
Yeah.
a couple people who can help my 104-year-old grandma push her cart out bring that stuff back. We don't need anyone to scan our grapes for us.
Service.
You know what you
that's
need,
service
Kevin?
oriented. Yeah.
You need a military commissary because that's what they do. They have baggers and they take your cart out. They
Oh,
have
you just
to.
reminded me of the
That's
funniest
true. I have
example
memories of
that Anand from UIA told me about their last pre-sale event. It was so well.
Yeah.
They had people trying to bribe and pay off other people to move up the line, or like
amazing.
employees, which I've heard of that. I've heard that before. But because these were $1 million townhomes, they actually had some people having their all pairs go and wait in line for them. Like, you go camp out, we'll keep the kids. That's how important this is to us.
It's pretty
Oh,
desperate.
that was hilarious.
That sounds about right. Everyone has au pairs down there. Everyone.
Yeah. It's I need one. Sounds good.
Or over there. Up there?
The language.
Where
All
am I
right,
now?
everyone.
Okay.
See,
Ooh,
everyone
unhinged.
on our team, this is the funny part. We'll end on this. Everyone's always like, Kevin, I think we could have podcast episodes that are shorter. And then you all want to talk about whatever we just talked about for the last 20 minutes. And I'm like, I know
Costco
I go on
chicken.
rants now and then, but I think if we do the analysis with AI, we'll find out that
It's not Kevin.
it has more to do with English muffins and self-checkout than anything else.
Yeah, but what's their favorite part of the podcast,
Well,
Kevin? I bet you it's the English
if you're
muffin.
if you're listening to this part, you don't really care. You're probably pulling weeds outside or on a walk or stuck in an airplane. All right, everyone.
Likely.
We'll see you next week.
See y'all.